Hallo liebe Community, Tag 2 auf der Vienna Comic Con und unser erster Interviewgast ist Jae Lee, bekannt von den Comics The Dark Tower und zeichnet aktuell für DC und Marvel, und ich würde sagen, wir legen einfach gleich los. Hi Jae, it's really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And we have a few questions for you. It's about The Dark Tower. How was that work for you?
Well, Dark Tower was a comic based on Stephen King's series of novels. Stephen King has been working on it since, I think, back in the 70s, or it's been a long time. So it's a project that's he's really passionate about, and it's a series of novels that act as a backbone for all of his novels. There's elements from Dark Tower that he brings into his other stories. So it was a huge honor to be asked to draw a book that important to Stephen King.
Have you ever met Stephen King?
I did. I met him once at the New York Comic Con when Marvel announced the project. He was an incredibly nice guy, just the most down-to-earth, just the nicest, most generous person.
Really nice to hear that. Your style is a very dark style. Was there a progress where you have reached that level of darkness in your drawings?
It just happened. I didn't do it on purpose. I love looking at high contrast photography. I pay attention to lighting in movies, and so I like to bring that aesthetic into my art. Sometimes I do get carried away and put too many shadows in, and you can't tell what's going on. But I think that without it, the artwork, my artwork can look a little thin. So it's a crutch. It's something that I can't seem to get away from. And even when I try to make it brighter and happier, I just can't seem to do it.
I see. How important is the memorability of your illustrations?
The memorability?
That the viewers will remember your drawings.
Well, yeah, it's very important. I wanted to leave a lasting impression. When I spend this much time drawing something, I don't want them to read it and just kind of skim through it, because I find myself doing that when I'm reading a comic. I'm just reading the words and not really paying attention to the art. And I think that's kind of not giving a disservice to the artist, because they put so much time into the work. You want to have people look at it.
I know. Please tell us about the working progress. How does the cooperation with your team look like? Do you tell the colorist, which is your wife, we heard? Yeah. Her name is June Chung?
June Chung.
June Chung. Yes. And do you tell her which color she has to use?
Well, colorists are limited to, there's only a certain amount of freedom a colorist will have, because they have to stick to the colors of the characters. Like Superman is blue and red, and so forth. So as an artist, as a penciler, I have to follow the guidelines, and colorists do as well. But within that context, they can add their own color sense. If you're coloring Superman, you don't have to keep it blue and red. You can give a slightly different hue to it. That's why some colors will color Superman a navy blue. Others will color him a very light sky blue. So there's freedom, and there kind of isn't freedom. But when you're doing creator-owned work, then that's where colorists, pencilers can just bring their own individual style.
What do you say about that, DC now shows the name of the colorist on the cover.
I think that's great, and it's about time. If people have seen black and white artwork, it's really hard to tell what's going on. Even as an artist myself, when I look at line art, it's hard to read because you know you don't really know what's going on. You need the colors, and a good colorist can make your work much better, or they can really hurt your work. Coloring is so important, but it's underrated. And I think that a lot of people that read comics don't really appreciate what the colorists do because, again, they don't see the process. They don't see the amount of time it takes. And, back in the old days, the printing process was very limited, and you were just stuck with 3 colors that they mix to get like 6 different colors. But now it's infinite. You have an infinite color palette to play with, and the techniques that they use are so advanced. Every panel is a painting, so it's about time that the colorists got some credit for the hard work that they do.
Yeah, that's really time for that. Would you tell us about any new projects, some new projects you are actually drawing?
I'm working on issue number 4 of a new miniseries from DC called Superman American Alien. It's written by Max Landis, who wrote the movie Chronicle, and it's a re-examination of how Superman became Superman, and I think it's a very interesting take.
Sounds interesting. Do you have any tips for our viewers about how to learn drawing? You still keep on drawing, or is there something secrets that you will tell our users?
Well, I don't need the competition, so I won't reveal any secrets. No, just kidding. Just practice. Just know that you can't learn how to draw comics just by looking at comic art. You have to look at other kinds of art, whether it's paintings, photography, any visual medium. Just try to absorb it, learn from it, and it just takes a lot of practice.
Which is your favorite character to draw?
I don't really have a favorite character because no matter how much I enjoy drawing a character, after a certain amount of time I get tired of drawing that character and I want to do something else. So for the longest time, my dream was to draw Batman and Superman. Those are the 2 characters that I grew up with. I got a chance to draw them when I did Batman and Superman, and now I'd like to do something else. So there's no such thing as a favorite character because after you draw him 1,000 times, you want to do something else. Because in a comic book, it's 22 pages. There's about 5 or 6 panels on a page. Just imagine the amount of times you're drawing one character in a book. And if you draw 12 issues, I mean, you've drawn him thousands of times. And it's time for something else.
Yeah. Many thanks for the interview, Jae Lee. Thank you very much. Enjoy your trip to Vienna.